Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, we decided to hit record and come and see you. And where did you go? Did you leave? I don't know what just happened there.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Hey, everybody, we are back. Oh, he's got
Still here.
He got to
Still
stay.
here.
Awesome. For any of you, I think you won't get able to see this because I'm editing it out. But Danny, when I hit record the last time, just went poof and disappeared. It was like a magic trick I didn't even know I could do. I don't want you to go that way, Danny.
That's a trick a lot of people wish they knew.
No.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, so we're back.
Back
Had
again.
Memorial Day weekend. I will say this. So Memorial Day weekend, we were talking about, like the things that we do and stuff last week or 2 weeks ago with it. And honestly, I don't think I got to do anything that I actually said I was going to do. It all went out the window, but not in a bad way, I guess. Instead of us going on a canoeing ride, I opted for 2 days of bricklaying in our front yard in an old garden bed that doesn't grow anything to put a sitting patio area for my wife and I to
All right.
have a place to hang out
Yeah.
when the kids go to bed and stuff, or just when we just want time, the two of
In,
us,
in case you just want to sit out there and take a nap.
or that, or eat your breakfast and drink your coffee out there, which is what we did Sunday morning.
Old day.
But yeah,
Old man.
wave at the
It's all right.
neighbors as they drive by.
And that's the dream too. I think for a lot of people, it really is. I mean, it is. You want to grow old together, right? And so
Right,
at some point, you're
exactly.
going to want a bench that you can sit in the shade, and see the neighbors, and yeah. So
I would rather have a comfortable experience doing that now, so that it carries on to when we're older, to instead, like when you're older, trying to instill that portion into your relationship and it just being awkward and forced and whatnot. So I'm
hmm
okay with the whole like growing old together before you actually get old.
hmm Yeah. And there's so much I found in my relationship with Morning about dreaming together,
Yes.
thinking about where you want to do, where you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to go, or anything like that. And even if your dreams don't necessarily align, it's still you talking about those parts of yourself that are in your future, and
Yep.
how the two of you will be together. And I think it really solidifies the fact that, yeah, I'm in this for the long haul. This is where I'm going to stay. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm going to put down roots with you. It's going to be
Yeah.
you and I for as long as we're alive.
Well,
You
I
know.
think I think that's a big part of why there's so many like divorces later on in life, is because people go, well, I can't figure out how we're supposed to move on after there are no kids in the house. Like, what are we supposed to
hmm
do? Like, you didn't take the time to build into that portion of your marriage. It was just, oh, we have kids. Okay, now we're parents, and forgetting the whole fact that you're still in a marriage type of deal. And because there's
hmm
sometimes where it's like, we're two ships passing in the night. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, we recognize it, we call it out as such too, like
hmm
whether it be in person or a text message, hey, I feel like we're roommates right now.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
something along those lines. And you just have to come up with ways to break that cycle so that you actually are
hmm
reconnecting. Because if you continue to stay disconnected, then you just build distance between you and
hmm
them, and it just becomes like a cavern. Like, it's so lots of euphemisms, like, or whatever, you get metaphorically speaking type stuff in there. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
all plays a part, honestly. And so I love the idea though of dreaming about
Hmm.
different things. Like for my wife and I, it's always about our tiny house and traveling
Hmm.
the country.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so much so that we've made it into a spreadsheet and we like keep up on the things that we want
Hmm.
in our tiny house.
Nothing wrong
So
with that. Yeah.
at least we're building on that dream.
Hmm. Yeah. And you're a lot of it too, because of all the things that a marriage demands, and then your individual self, and then kids, everything else. Like you said, you go 15, 20 years and you don't even know each other anymore.
Right.
Um, and it comes down to, like you said, communication, being able to say, hey, I'm not liking where we're at right now. I didn't even see you last week, or whatever.
Yeah.
And making sure that you're there to be open and honest, which is very difficult a lot of times. My friend was talking about how, maybe more of a person I know, and I don't call him my friend necessarily, but he was talking about how his wife was taught to play games, and not like board games or whatever, but games in the relationship,
Oh,
to where she was kind of taught, well, if you want something, you're going to have to either make it a manipulation or a transaction, which is a very old way of looking at things. And they're a very young couple, but the inability to just say, hey, I really want that, and look at it and say, well, okay, well, if you really want it, we'll figure out a way to get it. Some things are out of your reach. Sometimes, we can't all have everything we want, of course, but if you want, I don't know, something, I don't know, something silly, but a new TV, let's say, you really want a new TV. You really, well, let's save up the money. Let's do it together. But you're working together. You're honest about your expectations. You're honest about what you want, and you're not playing games with each other. And I
right.
told Marnie after talking to him, I was like, there's no way that I would ever treat you like this. I mean, I value you. I value your opinion. I value what you want. And if you dream it and I can give it to you, or we can get it together, why? I mean, I think we should. That's it. It'll make you, happy, or feel better, or make your life more complete, or whatever. And she does the same for me.
Yeah.
And it's not only, we're not talking about just like physical things or gifts, or, let's get a boat or anything like that. But I mean, simple stuff like, I I don't like the front yard. I don't want the lawn in the front yard, the way the trees are and everything else. The grass is never going to grow. It's
Yeah.
just a bad place. It's going to be a lot of unnecessary work. And I don't like lawns. Um, I like stuff that produces,
Yeah.
but so I want to change things. I want to put, like a rock path through there or whatever. And she was like, yeah, let's do that. I think that'll, it'll make you happy. You'll enjoy it here more. We've got the whole backyard,
Yeah.
which is, thick green grass. So she gets everything she wants out of that. But our ability to compromise and communicate and be honest with each other and be vulnerable with each other, and to dream together and not be told that you're silly, for wanting whatever you want. Like I want to, right now we're looking at a hammock. Not a big deal, but we want a hammock, and it would be great to
Yeah.
have a hammock back. And there's this perfect spot between the trees. And I said it, and Marnie was like, wow, that's a great idea. Yeah,
Are you talking
that'll be
like one of
right
those
there. And then
big canvas hammocks with like the ropes and everything? Or are you talking like the parachute style, like
I'm 300 pounds, and I've got 4 children. They probably all want to get in it with me. So I'm talking like a cargo net with a
so you're
blanket
talking
stretched
like,
over
yeah,
it, kind of
you're
thing.
talking like a 12-foot by 8-foot canvas type of thing
Hopefully not,
with
but
two
yeah,
massive oak trees to like hold
right,
it
to
in
try to hold it
place.
in so they lean just slightly when I'll get on it. Yeah,
When a
no, but yeah,
giant
but
walks
something
by,
like
goes,
that. Yeah,
"That's my slingshot right there."
right. Nope, we're sleeping here. Yeah, yeah, and the natural thing for her was say, oh, yeah, I like that idea. Let's see how we can make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's things that she doesn't really like. We talk about it, and if we get to a point where, no, I really want this, whatever it might be, and it's in no way, harmful to the family, we're not like taking money from anything else, we're not taking time from anything else or whatever, and it's not going to keep somebody from, progressing in our family. Yeah, go ahead. You want to, like, I want to be able to smoke in my office. I want to be able to have a cigar in my office, and I still got to get somebody to come out and install the super fan for it. But she saved up the money and got me the super fan. and it'll
Nice.
take everything out. And she's saving up the money so that we can sometime this summer get somebody to vent it out for us. And I'm like, just spoiled. But these things have nothing to do with her. They're no use to her whatsoever. It's
Right.
just she wants to make me happy, and I want to make her happy. And I don't know. I think that's the simplicity of it. You just tell each other what makes you happy.
I yeah, I and you and I talking about this, like, I'm like, yeah, like we get it, you know. But at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
too, it's like I think about like a lot of the listeners are probably in places where they're like, oh, that must be nice to have that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know there's probably quite a few actually that are kind of in that realm of like, well, it sounds nice in theory. I don't know how to like make that part of my relationship. And I don't have any
Mm-hmm.
answers for you other than the fact that like it really comes down to communication. That's the only thing I can come up with, honestly, because you both have to be able to talk freely with each other and
Mm-hmm.
not manipulate one another,
Yeah.
and not look at it as a like who's gonna win type of situation.
Right. Right.
Honestly, in all honesty, like you should want the other person like it should be a both give and take. Like you want them to be
Mm-hmm.
happy, they are trying to make you happy, and so like you're just trying to win to beat the other one out, but it's not like a super competitive thing. It's all done in like love kind of, is more along the lines of what it is. And so
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, like I said, I don't really have any um like real advice for anybody
Yeah.
other than to say like if you're not both trying to make the other one happy through non-manipulative ways, like you're like using actual love languages to
Mm-hmm.
show and do those kind of things, then yeah, like there's an issue there that needs to be discussed. Because
Yeah.
they like you were saying, like, your wife saved up, got you that fan. Like for me, like I know that one of my wife's love languages is like sexy books. She likes them like kind of
Mm-hmm.
really like intense books like that. And so I've basically will go on the library's website and find some that she's like found, or TikTok will be like, hey, like here's like the 10 best books or whatever, and I'll show them to
Mm-hmm.
her and she'll pick them out and I'll go pick them up for her. And I know like that's her thing. But I mean, I love it because she can get out of her world of work and be in this other realm. And
Mm-hmm.
then also too, like that then like uh bleeds into and flows into like our sex life and our our marriage and things like that. And so there's benefits all around from it. Um it's and so it's stuff like that. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
so I totally get where you're coming from on that. And hopefully some other folks listening, you know, see that and hopefully are able
Yeah.
to figure out a way to make something like that happen in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very, very complicated thing. You have to, again, we really can't give anybody advice because we don't know anybody. We don't know who we're talking to, but there's
Right.
broad stroke of communicate. Yeah,
Oh
be
yeah,
honest, be
definitely.
open, set boundaries. I think, especially for talking with at-home parents, the reality of needing to set boundaries when you start out. Say, okay, so I'm going to be the at-home parent. What does that mean? What am I responsible for? And what are you responsible for? And where does that,
Yeah.
where do we draw that line? Which is something that, we've gotten great advice. We talked about earlier about Shannon Carpenter's book, The Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dad Guide. We always reference that, and hope everybody gets a copy.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is one of the first things you need to do is to set those boundaries, whatever those boundaries might be. It might not just be, the cognitive labor or the chores of the day, but things like, I really don't like, I don't know, I don't like cats. I don't like cats, and we can't ever have a cat. That's not a healthy boundary per se, but it's the for a bad illustration of this is something that would affect you adversely, and you don't want to let it happen. That's an easy one. I don't like cats, but I don't like the way when you get upset, you say it's my fault. You say I'm doing things wrong, and you don't admit you've done anything wrong.
Yep.
And that goes back to the I feel statement as opposed to this happened statement. Um, I feel you aren't loving and compassionate to me when you need a sandwich. You're hangry and I just feel like you don't love me as much. And that's a
It's
hard thing to say, but it's how I feel, not you did something wrong or you shouldn't do this or this is the way you need to change. It's this is how this affects me when you do this.
yeah,
And I love you and I know you love me. And I want you to understand that when you don't eat enough or whatever, you get hangry and you yell at me or you won't talk to me. You give me the silent, whatever it is, but setting that up as a healthy boundary for how you're treated in the relationship. And a lot of people don't do that. They kind of expect that the other person lives the same relationship life that they do.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Well, I think too, I was thinking about this because actually before we jumped on here, I was having a conversation with my wife about the fact that I didn't know how to say some of the things that are going on in my head and have been just battling with like this crazy anxiety that just like total elephant just like stepping on your chest type situation, and for like 3 days straight just trying all these different coping mechanisms, and she just basically pulled me off to the side, was concerned and was asking a bunch of questions, and in the end I was like, I can't verbalize what's going on and I'm annoyed that I can't pinpoint why it's happening. And then she was like, well, and of course her master's in counseling comes out, and she says, do we need a document, like a Google Doc that just has like 3 columns in it, like this is or this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, and this is what I need, and
mm-hmm,
having those 3 columns and being able to just type those out, and then she would get a notification that there was like a new thing and vice versa if it was her, but
mm-hmm,
just to be able to have that. And honestly, like, I'm like, like I was gonna say, I was like, yeah, that might work or whatever. I was just like, I'm just in a place where I'm like, I'm having a hard time like processing through
mm-hmm,
certain things right now, but that would probably be the biggest help, honestly, for these times where I just feel like I'm just spinning in the mud. And I think that that's a tool that a lot of people could use, honestly, because I think a lot of times we maybe don't want to say certain things directly to somebody. And we're like, I wish I could just, it's like I could write it down and then they can read it and they can process it before they just like hear it out of my mouth and then like immediately react to it. Because
mm-hmm,
I think I was telling her, like, that's one of the things that I'm having the most difficulty with, is that there are a few things that I want to say and need to say to you, but I don't want to hear your immediate reaction to, because I know it's not going to be like there would be like an immediate snap to reaction and then later be like, oh, I'm sorry that I said all that. And it's like, it just going to, the immediate snap to is going to build on to the anxiety and not help the situation.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's where I'm at. uh,
Feel
yeah.
better.
Feel a little better. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. See, that's what this podcast is also for. It's just, little
or,
little little group therapy, little dad's got to talk, I guess.
yeah. Yeah. Well, nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there, see. Put that in there.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about too the value of the support group, the value of having somebody to talk to. I don't necessarily think that I'm that go-to person for you, because you have people that that are closer to you physically, that like you could go over to a guy's house and have a beer and talk about stuff. But having that ability to find somebody to just say these things to, because a lot of what we need, we talk about going to therapy or to counseling and things like that, and a lot of times that's not really what is really chewing on us. It's
Yeah.
just that we don't have the opportunity to say the things we need to say. You know,
Yep. Well, that's and Corey offered that to me. She was like, "Do you need to go talk to a therapist or something?" And I'm like, "I don't like.
mhm.
I love that you're thinking that way, but I was like, I don't think that
That's
is
yeah.
going to do anything for me right now. There's something
Mhm,
else, and sitting in front of another person like that and trying to scientifically or whatever like figure it out is not
mhm.
not going to produce anything."
Well, and you don't have the level of trust.
That too.
You know, I mean, sometimes you will develop it with a therapist or a counselor, of course. You know, that is part of the process, and you get to be. I mean, I feel like everybody would reach a point where you just unload anything to your therapist. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the stuff that we deal with, just the stress of our day to day, like I don't want to. I don't want to tell Marnie that it really bugs me that she doesn't clean up after she cooks. You know, I don't want to tell her that because she cooked, and I'm so happy that she cooked. And it was always she made steaks,
Yeah.
steaks and like steamed broccoli and some mashed cauliflower, which actually, if you like cauliflower, was really good. If you're expecting mashed potatoes, it would be terrible, but it was good stuff if you like cauliflower. But she cleaned, she made this great meal for us, and the steaks were delicious. We bought them at the farmers market last year, and we just kept them for a special occasion. And she
Nice.
decided to bring them out. I'm like, this is fantastic. But the kitchen is a mess. It's wrecked. It's gonna take a solid hour of cleaning to get it back just to, okay, I can make dinner now. It just, I'm like, this, you wrecked the kitchen. But I don't want to say that to her, and I don't want to talk about how frustrating that is for me, because it's not going to help our situation, her and I, on our communication.
Yeah.
She's aware of the expectations. She gets it, but she's not going to do it right now. She's just got other things. She's tired, and it's just not going to happen. And it's not eating at me, right? It's not bothering me that much, but it's a small thing. But I use it as an illustration for situations
Sure.
like this.
Yeah.
We're at a point, I just, okay, I feel better. I don't have to go to therapy for that.
No.
I don't even the support group for that. Although I do talk about stuff like that in the support group, but I just need somebody that's going to listen and not, like you said, have that knee jerk reaction. Not going to be like, oh, well, I cleaned all day. I don't, blah, 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 or whatever. No, I
Yeah.
just need somebody to hear me,
Yep.
and that's it. Just hear
Yeah.
me.
I told Corey too. I was like, I'm at a place where I'm so frustrated. I just need to run into a big mold of Jello and just scream. She's like, would you eat your way out on the other side? I was like, no, I think I'd probably just stay in there and see what
Stay
happens.
there, and somebody put a straw so I can have some air.
And I said, yeah, I was like, I'd probably just, drink the goo. And
Nice.
she was like, do you want me to pour the goo in your mouth? I'm like, no.
It's not where we're going.
Like, no.
A
Oh,
bucket of water works really well. If you stick your head in a bucket of water,
oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to pull it out, fairly soon. But I've done that on occasion, because I just need to scream at something, and people don't like to hear people screaming. It's
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pillow works for that too.
Right. A pillow. Well, I'm louder than that, so I would go back in the end of the house and like scream into a couple of towels, like in the bathroom, just grab the first thing and scream into it. But the kids would still hear me.
But see, I have those really thick bamboo pillows they have. Like they're not like they don't have cotton or down in them or whatever. It's like a
bamboo.
It's made out of bamboo.
The tree wood they make floors out of.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't picture this.
They turn it into fibers. I'll probably bring I'll probably bring, what? Since I'm driving to Home DadCon.
Kind of thing?
No. But since I'm driving to Home DadCon, I'll probably bring it with me, honestly, because I sleep better with it.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm not coming up to your room to see your pillow, man.
Yeah, you will.
No.
You're curious.
No.
Curious.
I'm not
somebody
listen.
Somebody listening is curious. I'll send you a link for it.
Google it.
Yeah, do
it. Where are you going, Andy? Just going up to Brock's room to see his pillow. What? I didn't know it was that kind of convention.
It's open hours for coming and seeing my pillow.
It's a party now. Now it's a party. Brock bought his pillow, his bamboo pillow.
Bamboo
it's
pillow.
Still just it's amazing, I guess, the things you could do with bamboo.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Actually, our mattress is made out of bamboo. So
hippy dippy baloney, but okay. All right, cool. I believe you. I believe you. I am looking up bamboo pillow.
Yeah, Cariloha, man, or Cariloha. It's
look at that. These don't exist. If anybody told you they do, they're a nut job. No! You should not go to their hotel room in Milwaukee. It says it right there.
Wow, that's very specific.
You should go to Wikipedia and change the entry.
Hey, so I want to flip the script completely. So yesterday I was watching or sorry, 2 days ago I was watching the Indianapolis 500,
Mhm.
and so typically they have all kinds of different situations and races. A lot of times with Indy, it's usually delayed because of rain in the morning. That wasn't the case this year. It was actually a beautiful day for a race. They didn't have any wrecks until like lap 90,
Nice.
and then like it was soon as lap 90 happened and there was a wreck, it was like Pandora's box of like anything and everything that could happen happened for that
Oh
race,
no.
which was exciting and terrifying all at the same time because um, one of the things that happened was there was a car that went up, hit the wall, came down, and another car couldn't get out of the way in time. And so they collided, and the tires on Indy cars are tethered. Like they're not like, because they're open wheeled. And so,
Mhm.
unlike a NASCAR where it would maybe stay underneath or just like pop off and roll down the road, these things could have the tendency to traject like a rocket. And they put these tethers on them to keep them from doing that. Well, in this case, the car hit in such a way that it snapped the tethers off of
Ooh.
this car as it's going like 120 miles an hour around a corner, and it shot the tire up in the air. Didn't bounce. It literally shot it straight up in the air. It went over the safety fence
Oh no.
that protects the crowd. It just barely missed the grandstands and landed on a Chevy Cruze like that was parked in the lot right beside the
Oh.
grandstands. And I mean, just like it crushed, like it landed on like the front left corner, and so like it just annihilated all that.
Oh man.
It's a wild video. I mean, you just see this thing shoot up in the air like a rocket. And the wild thing was too is that like I'm watching it live as it happens, and I'm like, holy cow, because I was out laying bricks, and like all of a sudden I heard like a car is up into the wall, and I like look at my phone, and then I see the other car hit, and I watch the tire go up. I stopped watching the two cars, and I'm just watching the tire, and I'm like, holy crap, did anybody even see this tire that went up? And
Yeah,
they,
where's it going?
well, because you know how commentators are, usually they point
Mhm.
stuff like that out. They didn't talk about it for the longest time because they were trying to figure out if anybody got injured in the
Yeah.
process. Like, was anybody out
Yeah.
just walking around or whatever? And luckily nobody was hurt, but the car was
Sure.
destroyed. Like
Yeah, I bet.
the lady that owned the car, she was a really good sport for the whole thing and was just like, yeah, they're working on getting me a different ride to get home and all this stuff. And
I'll get you a ride home, lady, after we demolished your car.
yeah,
Whoops.
yeah, because I mean they had to drag it
Oh
up
yeah.
basically onto the flatbed to get it out of there. So, but it to me though, that race has been such a part of my life for so many years
Mhm.
because I went to it all the time with my dad when I was a kid. Um,
Yeah.
and then I stopped going after I got married, and then my mom like started going to the race again with my dad, which was really cool. And my dad's been going to the race since he was a
It's
teenager, so they haven't missed any races.
nice. Yeah.
And it's just neat to like I still have that connection with him in the race. Like we talk usually after the race, or we text like during it, like if there's like wrecks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, did you just see that tire?
Yeah, which actually that was in like turn two, and their seats are in turn two, but they are like in the middle. So like they actually just
Okay.
watched it like basically like shoot up in the air and like go way down from them, but still like that's scary. Uh
Yeah.
so yeah, it was just I don't know. I just think back to times like that. Like one, I was having just an emotional roller coaster for the weekend, anyways, just because like it's Memorial Day weekend. We were talking about this a little bit a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
Here I've got this amazing thing happening with connection with my dad, and at the same time, like I'm thinking of like all the Gold Star families that were honored um, throughout the weekend at the races in different ways. NASCAR did a really cool thing for the Coca-Cola 600, which is the race that happens in the evening on that Sunday. And every single race car driver had picked a Gold Star family to race for, um,
Oh,
which I thought was excellent. And all those families were there. But
nice.
it was just a great way to honor a bunch of fallen soldiers.
Yeah.
Um, and so Yeah, so it was just a very emotional weekend, but it was so
Hmm.
cool to just see how our country, even in all of the chaos that's going on, like finds different ways to try to bridge the gap and bring everybody together for one sole purpose. And if there's there's no greater sole purpose than getting behind these families that have lost loved ones to
Yeah.
give us the freedoms that we have in this country.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to
It's
put that out there.
we did talk about it a little bit. It's a heavier holiday, I think, than people really realize. You know, because
Yeah.
it's the first. Well, we knew Friday there was no going to quote unquote town. I mean, it's just like one strip from one side of the highway to the other. So,
When
but
yeah.
you're not going to the grocery store or the Fleet Farm or anything like that on Friday because everybody gets off early and starting at about 2 o'clock, it is just bumper to bumper for about 2 miles back from the interstate to go north to towards wherever to the lakes and such. And there's everybody's got their boats and their campers and their
Oh wow.
grills and their and it's great. Okay, it's the first big weekend of summer. It was in the 80s up here.
Oh yeah.
Um, Beautiful, cool nights and all that. Great time, of course, to be out there. But yeah, take a moment and remember what Memorial Day. Have a memorial.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
that
remembrance is what it's for.
that was the other thing. I was listening to the singing of the national anthem for the Indy
Mhm.
500. They had Jewel perform it,
Nice.
and I'll tell you right now, Google it and listen to it because it's a version like the rhythm of it is so different than anybody else that's sung it that I've heard, but it is
Cool.
so like heart gripping emotional the way she sings it. Like it's not like she's like belting it out. Like it's got like tons of emotion and like mourning in it when she's singing it. That like I was driving to the brewery to do something and I'm like, I'm gonna wreck my car because I'm gonna cry. I'm crying so it's like but it was so good. It's like by far I would put it up there in like the top 5 national anthems that I have ever heard in my
Wow.
entire life. It was so good. So that was because it wasn't like she was trying to like play it up. Like a lot of times at the Indy 500, somebody like, for instance, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler sang the national anthem one year, and like
Hmm.
he tried to like you know Aerosmith it up or whatever, and in the same time like made himself look like a fool when he did it too. People were just like, why? Like, why did you not just sing it? He had to try to make it his own, and it was like, no, it's already its own. Just put the emotion into it and sing it. But anyway,
The answer
Jewel did
is
that.
rock star.
Oh yes, yeah, no, you're
Steven
not wrong.
Tyler is an old rock star too. So like
Right. I mean, he was
older
jazzed
than
to get to
me.
do it. Yeah, I know. I mean, he was jazzed to do it and everything, and it
Hmm.
was it was cool. But yeah, he just added a certain thing to it that I was like, no, like that wasn't that wasn't right. But Jewel definitely nailed it, and I yeah highly recommend searching it out because
Well,
it's good.
I'll definitely listen to it because after a quick Google, give it a
Mm-hmm.
Goog, and there are a lot of people that evidently don't agree with you.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
he says, well, I think with any performance, especially with the national anthem,
You're
I
gonna have
mean,
all kinds of opinions. Yeah.
you're always because it's oh well that was disrespectful. That wasn't disrespectful. This is an artist,
Yeah.
and granted, some artists aren't really cut out for that type of thing. We mentioned Steven Tyler. It's like maybe you should have just stuck with the basics. But
Right.
when you're an artist, especially when you're artist singing, it comes out.
Oh,
And
sure.
like you said, Jules' performance was so moving because that's the way she sang. That's who she is when she sings, and so
Right. Yeah.
always obvious it's gonna set some people off. So
She's a much less like overly energetic person than
mhm.
a rock star. So that's like
Yep.
that's the other part of it too. You put it easy, basically easy listening versus rock star or Broadway person or something like that.
And
So,
wearing her cowboy hat the whole time
oh yeah, yep.
with a big old checkered flag as a bandana. That's pretty cool.
She's from
But
Juneau, Alaska.
no, I did not know that.
Oh, well, anyway, I don't have much else to
We
talk
can end
about.
on that. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
plenty to talk about next week.
We do. Yeah. Next week we'll be back to talk about Father's Eve and Father's Day and some fun Father's Day gifts ideas. So yeah. So until then, talk to you later. Have a good week.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.